Assalamu alaikum everyone, and I'd like to welcome you all to our Nahjul Balagha course. So the theme of the Nahjul Balagha course that we're going to be going through is going to be knowing Allah through Nahjul Balagha, and to do this, we're going to be looking at Khutbah 91, and we're going to be looking at examining the different attributes of Allah. So before we get started on the content, just a few friendly reminders for everyone. The first one is please make sure you don't write any personal information in the chat box, such as your email address, phone number, any addresses. And the second point is please make sure you show respect to everyone and you don't make fun of any comments that anyone writes. And thirdly, once the class begins, please make sure all discussions in the chat box relate to what we're talking about in the class. So for some of you, you may be familiar with Nahjul Balagha. Maybe you've read it before or taken part in a previous Nahjul Balagha course. Does anyone know of any facts about Nahjul Balagha that they remember? Maybe from any of their past experiences. If you do, what you can do is you can type them out in the chat box that you see, and then we can take a look at them.
Unmuted.
Can anyone think of any facts? Oh, very good, Sumaya. That's an excellent one. It's a collection of sermons by Imam Ali. Does anyone else have any other points that they remember about Nahjul Balagha? Okay, so what we're going to then do is we're going to start off by looking at some points right now about Nahjul Balagha. So an overview of Nahjul Balagha. It is a collection of sermons, letters, and sayings of Imam Ali alayhi salam dealing with different religious topics, such as how to be pious and prepare for the hereafter. Excellent! That's also very true. There are letters, sayings, and sermons. Excellent job, Noor. And Nahjul Balagha was compiled by Sharif Aridi. He's the one that compiled it into a book known as Nahjul Balagha, and the meaning of it is the peak of eloquence. So to start off, we're going to start off by looking at a beautiful hadith within Nahjul Balagha. So the hadith that we're going to look at is hadith 227. When Imam Ali alayhi salam says, belief means appreciation with the tongue, appreciation with the heart, acknowledgement with the tongue, and action with the limbs. I agree as well, Sumaya. It's a beautiful hadith that we have. So can anyone tell me what that hadith means to them? It's such a beautiful hadith. What are some thoughts that come into your mind? It could be how you can apply it, what it's talking about. Anyone have any thoughts about this beautiful hadith that we have?
Unmuted.
Excellent point, Sumaya. If you believe, you can appreciate with the heart. Excellent. Anyone else have any other points that they'd like to mention about the hadith? This hadith shows us the importance of when we have a belief in our beliefs to make sure that we believe in it strongly in our hearts and don't just believe in it just with our tongues. It talks about how our belief should affect all parts of our body. You're truly believing in what you have been taught. Very good. Excellent point, Noor. Belief means to be thankful and to zikr and act prayers. Excellent, Uzma. Also a very good point as well. So these are excellent points that everyone's bringing up, which is wonderful. Acknowledgement with the tongue is like to say thank you and be grateful. Excellent, Hussein. Also an excellent point. For actions, we can include prayers. Very good. Nice. Excellent. So now, within our course, in order for us to be closer to Allah, it involves preparing the tools for the spiritual journey that we're going to go on to be closer to Allah. So in order for us to be ready for the spiritual journey, it involves us having a copy of Khutbah 91 of Nahjul Balagha, because that will be giving us our guidance. A copy of the mountain climbing challenge, which you will get by a link that will be sent at the bottom at the end of a presentation. And also for us to be able to make sure we have the best spiritual journey, it will also be helpful if you have a notebook, a journal, to write down any self-reflections that you have throughout the spiritual journey that we're going to be taking on throughout these 3 weeks. So why don't we get started on the spiritual journey? So what do we hope to achieve from the spiritual journey? So inshallah, by the end of the 3 weeks, our goal is to try to have a stronger connection with Allah. We also want to be able to have more knowledge about Allah and more love for Allah in our heart. So this is going to be our goal that we want to have throughout this journey that we are going to be going on. So we're going to start off by taking a look at an excerpt from Nahjul, from Khutbah 91. And in it states, "Praise be to Allah. He is the first for whom there was no before, so that there could be anything before him. He is the last for whom there is no after, so that there could be anything after him. He prevents the pupils of the eyes from seeing him or perceiving him. Time does not change over him so as to admit of any change of condition about him. He is not in any place so as to allow him movement." So what are some points that we can take about Allah that we can see within this excerpt from Khutbah 91? What are some ways that Allah is being described that we can see over here?
Unmuted.
So I see some really good points that are coming up. Allah prevents people from seeing him. We cannot see him. That's right. His life never ends. Excellent. He has the power to do anything. Very good. He sees everything. Very good. He is everywhere. He cannot fit in one place. Very good. Nothing was before him. Very good. And Imam Ali is telling us that we cannot see him. Excellent. He cannot move around, but he's able to be everywhere. Very good. So these are excellent points that everyone's bringing up, which is wonderful. And so this excerpt that we can see helps to describe Allah in a lot of different ways, which is wonderful. So now, based on what we just saw in the khutbah, I'm going to share with you a little story. And the title of the story is I Can't See Allah with My Eyes. So once there was a farmer who was a very good man. He worked hard on his farm and prayed salah, namaz on time every day. One day he saw a sick man lying on the roadside. He helped him up and took him home to look after him. The next morning, when the farmer woke up to pray salah, he woke up his guest, who said he did not want to pray. The man said that he could not see Allah, so how could he pray to one whom he could not see? The farmer did not say anything. The next day, the man was feeling better and wanted to go home. The farmer walked with him across the fields. Suddenly, they saw footprints. The man told the farmer that they were the footprints of a tiger. I don't believe that, said the farmer. I can't see a tiger here. The man looked surprised and said, Are these footprints not enough to tell you that a tiger was here? The farmer said, Dear brother, when you saw the footprints, you believed that a tiger had passed here. So are not the moon, the sun, the flower, and the trees enough to make you believe that there must be one who made them? The man thought for a while and said, You are right. We cannot see Allah with our eyes, but we can understand from the things He has made that He exists. Who can tell me what is something that you can learn from this story that we just heard? What is a lesson that is learned from the story I can't see Allah with my eyes? So I see some excellent points that are coming up, which are wonderful. Let's go through some of them. So Allah made everything. Allah is not limited to what can be seen with our eyes. Excellent. Allah doesn't need to prove it's here. Its proof is everywhere. That's right. There are many signs around us where we can see the wonders of Allah. We can know more about Allah from looking at His creations. Excellent. We cannot see Allah, but we can perceive Him from our hearts. Excellent. Belief in Allah. Very good. His proof of His creation is all around us. Excellent. You can learn Allah by looking from His creatures. Correction, you see Allah through signs. Very good. That's right. We could not do anything. We would not even be existence if it wasn't for Allah. That's right. We believe in Allah because the creation is around us and very good. Excellent. So now another question for you all. If somebody asked you to prove Allah exists, what would you tell them to prove Allah exists? Does anybody want to share their thoughts? If you had a friend that didn't believe in Allah and they asked you to prove it, how would you prove to somebody that Allah exists? Tell people some stories about the prophets. Very good. We'll see. We believe it. Very good. Excellent. One of the other ways that you could also do it is if you look at the example of pain. Sometimes you may not have a bruise or a scar or any mark, but you could still feel and experience this. And so the same way, you can experience Allah without actually seeing Him. Good, wonderful points coming up. Tell them to look around. We'll look around and ask how the world could be so perfect without God. Very good, because the world would not be the way it is if it wasn't for Allah. I would say the thing created everything around you. Very good. I would tell them how the miracles were performed. Very good. I would tell them who created the world. Very good. Ask them who created the sun and the moon. Very good. And that's also a very good point about those two. And throughout the course, what we're actually going to be doing is we're actually going to be going deeper into some of the different creations of Allah and actually looking at the universe as a whole. So these are wonderful points. Tell them about the things He revealed to us. Prophets, Imams, and Masumeen. Excellent. There are signs of Allah changing of the day and night, different weathers. Very good. These are excellent points. But ask them, how would we and the earth come to existence? Very good. So these are wonderful points that everyone's bringing up, which is so nice to see. Tell them about the stories that happened, about the people being cured by the Imam. Excellent. These are really good points that everyone's bringing up. Very good. Continue. So now we're going to be taking another look at another part from this khutbah. And in this part, it uses a beautiful example. Imam Ali says, if He gives away all that the mines of the mountains emit out, or the gold, silver, pearls, and cutting of coral which the shells of the ocean throw out, it would not affect His generosity, nor decrease the extent of what he has. In fact, He would still have such treasures of bounty as would not decrease by the demands of the creatures, because He is that generous, being whom the begging of beggars cannot make poor, nor the persistence of beseechers make misery. You can see within this beautiful excerpt, it talks about how Allah is also so generous and gives us, sometimes even when we don't even ask for something. And it beautifully captures that by using the example of the mountain emitting gold, silver, and pearls. So can anyone think of an example in their life when they found that they were given a blessing that maybe they didn't ask for, or something that was better than what they expected, given to them by the mercy and generosity of Allah? Can anyone think of any examples from their personal life? Sure, so I'm just going to repeat the question. The question was, if you can think of an example in your life when you found you were given a blessing that was maybe more than what you expected, or when you didn't ask for something and you were given something really wonderful. Excellent. So I see some good points coming up. You got a PS4, Ali Akbar. Excellent. Jahid, you too, when you got a PS4. Wonderful. And also very good. First Jaziara trip to Iran and Iraq. Excellent. When you asked for an iPod and got a phone instead. Very good. Allowing us to exist. A sibling. Wonderful. And even getting an Apple Watch. Excellent. So one of the things that we need to realize is these blessings that we were given wouldn't be possible without Allah and the generosity that He has. Excellent. Attended school to learn more, but also met someone who introduced me to Islam. Very good. Excellent. No, brother. Excellent. So those are wonderful points that everyone's brought up that show us the generosity of Allah. And when we got our parents who took me to Iraq trip, even though we didn't ask, wonderful. It's a beautiful blessing to be given. So it looks like we all have examples in our lives when we were given blessings that we didn't even ask for. And if we look at the generosity of Allah, we can also see that it is also mentioned in the Holy Quran. One example is in Surah 27, Ayat 40. There is a part in the Quran that states, however, he who is grateful to God is but grateful for his own good. And he who is ungrateful should know that verily my sustainer is self-sufficient, most generous in giving. So we can see that the concept of generosity has also been mentioned in the Holy Quran. So other points that people have brought up is holidays, very good. Even being a Muslim, these are all blessings that we have been given, which are wonderful. So if we look at other ways Allah has been generous, we can see He is giving and munificent. He gives and He praises us. He gives before being asked. He fulfills all promises but waives what is due from others. He never turns down a supplicant. That means whenever we pray to Allah, He never turns down the du'as that we make. He always rewards us for making that supplication that we do towards Him. He rewards a mere good intention, sometimes even before we actually do a good action. Just having the thought of doing something good, we are already being rewarded. However, we are never punished when we have a bad intention unless we actually do the bad deed. So for example, I could think about giving charity. Just the thought of wanting to give the charity, Allah is so generous that He is already rewarding me just for having that thought. However, let's say I want to hurt somebody. If I think about that thought, I'm not being punished. If I actually do the bad action, then only will I be punished. That's right. Allah gives us food, a house. Other blessings can also be from His generosities, different trips that we get to go on. Excellent points. We looked at the different ways generous. So let's continue on by looking at more about Allah within this khutbah. He originated the creation without any example which He could follow, and without any specimen prepared by any known creator that was before Him. If we think about what that means is, sometimes when we want to do something, we usually use examples from around us. Allah did not have any examples when He created everything in the universe. Everything is completely original that Allah has created. He showed us the realm of His might and such wonders which speak of His wisdom. The signs of His creative power and standard of His wisdom are fixed in the wonderful things He has created. Whatever He has created is an argument in His favor and a guide towards Him. Even a silent thing is a guide towards Him, as though it speaks and its guidance towards the Creator is clear. So we can see there's some wonderful points that talk about Allah and how He created the world around us. Can anyone mention some of the different points that we get from this part of the khutbah? Excellent. There's some really good points that are coming up that let's take a look at. So one of the points I see is the Big Bang, and that's actually a scientific perspective that some scientists believe that there was a big hole in the world was created. So the Big Bang, the actual theory on how it happened, doesn't really reflect how Allah created everything. It's more a scientific perspective on how some scientists believe that the world had begun. Very good. She's created everything. Very good. That is created. That's right, because everything he's created is very original. That's right. He also created the Holy Quran. He gave us life. Very good. That's right. The atheists believe in the Big Bang. Big Bang made everything. That's right. Those that don't believe in Allah think that it was the Big Bang and just the big hole that started the whole creation that began. That's right. But we believe that it was Allah that was the one that created everything from the very beginning. Very good. The signs of his power are in everything he created. Very good. Allah is close to us than anyone else. That's right. There's even an ayat that says that Allah is so close. He's closer to us than even our own jugular vein. So he's closer to us than even some of the veins that we have in our body. Everything is created is unique and without any previous model. Very good. Encompasses everything. Excellent. Allah has created, being which created the world, he also created Adam and said down the Quran. So he basically, Allah began the beginning of creation, which is true. Allah also created basically families. Very good. There's cause and effect in everything. Is consistent. Very good. So the world would not be the way it is without Allah. If we think about how much Allah is capable of creating, you can imagine He is beyond our imagination, what we are able to even comprehend on how someone is able to create such an amazing world around us. That's why it's sometimes difficult for us to be able to think about how this is actually possible. So that's why it is not possible to know the essence of God. It is possible to know His attributes. The thing that also makes it harder is that Allah does not have material existence. We cannot actually see Him. He is all perfect and the sources of all perfection in the world and of all the good qualities. That's right. So I see some good points coming up. So He does not need help, companion. He is able to do all this by Himself. Very good. He made everything without advice. That's right. Excellent. Allah also gave us families. Very good. And Allah also gave us brains. That's right. And this is actually very important because Allah gave us human brains that help us to be able to know the different attributes about Him. Without this ability, we would not be able to know and become closer to Allah. That's right. He created everything that works together perfectly. The 4 seasons, effect of the moon on the tide. That's right. And He is perfect in every way. Excellent. That's right. He also made the plants, the animals. So the comment, if he does not have a brain, how is he smart? He doesn't need a brain. He has the power to do everything and to know everything because He is all perfect. He is of all the perfect qualities and everything perfect. That is who Allah is. That's right. Allah also has knowledge about Islam. So let's take a look at another part that's also going to help us to be closer to Allah. That's right. Allah should not be and cannot be discriminated. That's correct. So in another part within this khutbah, it says, I stand witness that whoever equated you with anything out of your creation took a match for you, and whoever takes a match for you is an unbeliever, according to what is stated in your clear verses and indicated by the evidence of your clear arguments. I also stand witness that you are that Allah who cannot be confined in the chains of intelligence as to admit change of condition by entering its imagination, nor the shackles of the mind, or the shackles of the mind. Very good, excellent. So I see some good points coming up. He will live forever. Excellent. So within this excerpt, it talks about, it is stated in your clear verses. Where would these clear verses be mentioned? What is being referred to by the clear verses? Does anyone have any guesses? Clear verses. Are these clear verses in a book maybe? What are your guesses when it talks about clear verses? Excellent. It is referring to the verses within the Holy Quran. Excellent. So the question was, within this excerpt, it talked about how, according to how Allah is described in the clear verses. So the question was where these clear verses are found, and it looks like that is correct. It is found in the Holy Quran. So we're actually going to do also in this session is we're actually going to be looking at some of the verses within the Quran that talk about Allah and also describe what we see within this excerpt. That's right. It can also be mentioned in certain du'as. Excellent. That's right. Allah is clear and Allah never makes mistakes and never will make any mistakes. Very good. We can also notice in Salah, especially within some of the surahs, the way it's describing Allah, such as Surah Fatiha that we pray. Excellent. It's also in dua books. Very good. That's right. And that's correct. It could also, Allah can also be described similarly in different parts in Nahjul Balagha as well. Very good. And in hadiths. So one of the verses in the Holy Quran that discusses God is in Surah 59, Ayah 22, when it states, He is Allah then, whom there is no other Allah, the knower of the invisible and the visible. He is beneficent, merciful. So when it talks about the clear arguments, it's talking about the different proofs that we have around it. That's right, there's only one Allah. So when it talks about how Allah is the knower of the invisible, what kind of invisible things could this be referring to? Any guesses? Because we know Allah is the knower of things that are visible, such as ourselves, that are physical, material, existed. How can Allah be the knower of something invisible? Does anyone know of any examples of things that are invisible? That's right, could be the future. Very good. Air, also angels. We cannot see them, but Allah can also see them even though they're all around us. That's right, our thoughts. Yins, that's right. So even things that we cannot physically see around us, Allah is even able to see these things, which is so wonderful. That's right, the angels and jinns. Very good. Other points, that's right, germs, knowledge, things that are invisible to us, other creations, that's right. So there's a lot of things that are also invisible to us that we cannot see, but Allah is able to see. Very good, excellent. So now within the next ayat, we can see, that's right, and thoughts as well. In Surah 59, ayat 23, it says, He is Allah then, whom there is no other Allah, the sovereign Lord, the Holy One, peace, and the keeper of faith, the guardian, the majestic, the compeller, the superb. Glorified be Allah from all that they ascribe as partner unto Him. So we can see that this beautiful ayat captures some of the beautiful qualities of Allah, which is wonderful that we can see. That's right. At the end of the presentation, you'll get the link to this PowerPoint presentation, as well as you'll also get the mountain climbing challenge as well. So those things will be provided to you at the end of the presentation. Very good. So excellent points coming up. That's right. Allah also created the heaven and hell. Excellent. Very good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you a story. And this story is called But Allah Made Me Do It. After I go through the story, you're going to tell me of what lessons you can learn from the story that I'm going to be sharing with you all. So in this story, the title is But Allah Made Me Do It. Once was a student of Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam. One day he was telling his friends about the things he did not believe in which Imam had taught him. They were, Shaitan would go to Jahannam. How could this happen when Shaitan was made of fire? So how could the fire burn him? Allah cannot be seen. How could we not see Allah when we can see everything that exists? The student believed that we will see Allah on the day of judgment, on the day of Qiyamah, welcoming people to Jannah. Every person is responsible for his or her own action. The students said that Allah made people do things. When Bahlul, a companion of Imam who pretended to be mad, heard this, he picked up a lump of clay and threw it at the student's forehead. He was caught and brought before the Khalifa. Both the student and Bahlul were present in the court. The student was asked what complaint he had against Bahlul. He replied, "My head hurts as a result of the lump of clay that Bahlul threw at my head." Bahlul said, "Show me the pain." The student said, "How can I show you pain which is invisible?" But you yourself told friends that what exists has to be seen by the eyes. Bahlul continued, and that the lump of mud hurt you is also not true, because according to your beliefs, how could something made of earth cause pain to man who is also made of earth? You also told your friends that Allah makes a person do things, so why are you complaining against me? The student withdrew his case and walked out of the court, unable to answer Bahlul. So we can see from this story, we're able to see how somebody believed that, first of all, we can only believe things that we see, such as the example how Bahlul had thrown the clay at the person, but then once it was thrown, the argument was that the pain could not be seen. So what are some lessons that we can learn from this story that you just heard? These excellent points that are coming up. Very good. Even though he is invisible to us, it doesn't mean he doesn't exist. Very good. That's right. We are not perfect. That's why one of the things that we have to do in this world is we have to strive towards perfection, gaining as much closeness that we can to Allah. Very good. Just because you cannot see Allah doesn't mean you don't believe in Him. Very good. It is a challenge or test. That's right. one of the biggest challenges is continuing to make sure that we have this belief in Allah, even though we cannot actually see Him. Because sometimes we may be tempted to do things that Allah doesn't like, but we need to make sure that we are aware that Allah is always aware and watching all of our actions at all times. That's right. You do not have to see everything to believe in it. That's right. Because there's a lot of things around us that we may not be able to see, but that still do exist. You do not have to see something to believe in it. Very good. Allah can do anything and has very important attributes. It is hard to believe that He has done all this. It's very fascinating when you actually sit down to think about all that He has done for us and what He has created. Excellent. So that's why this is something that we are going to be doing in this course, is actually going and actually reflecting on all this. Taking a look, learning more about Allah, His creations, the world around us. This is exactly what is the main goal of this spiritual journey that we are going on, is to be able to reflect on these wonderful things. Within the story, the key thing is Bahlul. It showed the student his actual answer. And that's right, we do have the free will. That's right, even if pain is invisible, we can still feel the pain. That's right, we are responsible for the choices that we make, and nobody makes these choices. We have this free will. That's right, not everything that you believe in has to be visible. Very good. Everything is possible for Allah. Very good. And Allah is also capable of burning shaitan, burning fire and fire. Very good. And Allah can do anything. Excellent. So thank you for all those that participated in those comments. There were wonderful points about the story that were brought up, which is so nice to see. So now the last ayat that we're going to be looking at is from Surah 59 in ayah 24. Within this ayat, it states, He is Allah, the Creator, the Shaper out of naught, the Fashioner. His are the most beautiful names. All that is in the heavens and the earth glorified Him, and He is the mighty, the wise. Now, based on this ayat, can anyone think of any of the beautiful names, Asmaul Husna of Allah, that they know of, that they like to share? Either the Arabic or the English? Because Allah has 99 beautiful names. Does anyone know any of the beautiful names of Allah? Excellent, really good that so many of you know so many the beautiful names of Allah, which is really nice. Ar-Rahim, Ar-Rahman, the Guardian, Ar-Rahim, very good. Rahman Rahim, excellent. Al-Nur, Basir, Azim, Al-Ghafur, Al-Mubin, very good. Al-Wadudu, Al-Wakilu, excellent. Al-Aziz, the Almighty, excellent. Al-Khaliq, Al-Musawwiru, excellent. Razik, Al-Ghafur, Al-Rahim, Almighty, very good. Al-Halul, all-wise, all-seeing, all-hearing, very good. Aziz, Rahman, Mulk, Al-Qudus, very good. Malik, Al-Bari, is a witness. Mahir, Allah, Al-Malik, excellent. That's wonderful to see how many beautiful names Allah that you know. And one of the other beautiful things that you can also do is, in your prayers, you can also call upon Allah with these beautiful names. And that will also help us to be able to strengthen our connection with Allah. One of the other things that's also interesting to notice, there's also certain Asma al-Husna that are also recommended for certain days of the week that also have a lot of blessings associated. Also, if there's certain pain in certain areas or you need help in certain areas, there are also certain specific Asma al-Husna that are also recommended to be prayed for the different things because of the power that they carry. Very good. Al-Majid, Al-Adil, Al-Basir, Jamil, Al-Alim. Excellent. Very good. If we look at the different qualities of Allah, they can be divided into two different categories. The first one is Sifat al-Subutiyah. That is which Allah, those are the qualities that Allah has. They're all good qualities that originate from Him. So example of different Sifat al-Subutiyah is that He is all-knowing, all-powerful, all-kind, all-forgiving, just. Then there's another category that is known as Sifat Salbiya, and that is those are qualities that Allah is not. So some of the different examples of Sifat Salbiya is that He is not limited by time, place. He cannot be seen or heard as the senses cannot perceive Him. Senses can only be perceived by material things. He has no beginning or no end. So these are all examples of the different ways that the qualities of Allah are divided in. These are the two different categories. That's right. Some of you may have been familiar with this from Madrasa. Does anyone know of any other examples of other Sifat Tubutiyah or Sifat Tawbiyah that they'd like to share? Maybe that you've learned previously. So if you want to name what the trait is, quality is, and which of the two categories it falls in, whether it's going to be a Sifat Subutiyah or Sifat Tawbiyah. That's right, He cannot be unjust. And is that an example of Sifat Subutiyah or Sifat Tawbiyah? Very good, excellent. The Sifat Tawbiyah, excellent. Salbiya examples, very good, excellent. Al-Alim, Sifat Subutiyah, excellent. It's wonderful that we're able to tell the difference between the qualities of Allah in these two categories. That's right, He is not physical, He cannot be seen and is not partial in His judgment. Very good. Excellent, very good. He can do anything if He wills. Very good. Sifat Tubutiyah. Excellent, wonderful. Very good. Now, for next session, there's an optional reflection activity. So what you're going to be shown right now, we're going to look at it on the screen, and then I will send it to you as a link within the chat box, is the mountain climbing challenge. Now, within the first challenge, for the mountain climbing challenge, for this week, it involves you to think of 4 times during the upcoming week that you feel God has been very generous to you. So you're going to pay attention to everything around you and notice the different blessings that you notice from Allah during this week. And then you are going to be writing each of these wonderful times that Allah has been generous on each step of the mountain. So before I send you the file, I'm actually going to be showing you what it actually is going to look like, the mountain climbing challenge. That way it'll be a lot easier when I send it to you. So right now what you're going to see in the PowerPoint presentation is actually going to be the slides that you can do, and then if you like, you're also able to print out the course file as well. Then notice it coming up. Yep, it's just going to be coming. And then the same file is going to be sent to you as well. So this is what the mountain climbing challenge looks like. So you can print it out, you can decorate it. But right now you're going to be able to see it on the screen right over here. So the first part of it describes a little bit about the challenge. What it states is, if you are given the opportunity to climb a mountain, every step you take in climbing the mountain would help you to see more of the wonderful creations of Allah. With the knowledge you gain from answering the questions, you would be able to increase your spiritual connection with Allah. So your task for this mountain climbing challenge is to participate in the webinars and the sessions that we are having here, and to write the answers to the questions in the steps of the mountain. Every week you will receive a new mountain climbing challenge with a reflection activity involving information to fill in for the steps of the mountain. So what you can do is, either you can print out each of the pages in this packet that you're going to be receiving within the link, or if you prefer to write your answers on a piece of paper for the mountain climbing challenge, you can do that as well. And then if you'd like some of your answers to be shared maybe in the next session, what you can do is you can send it to me, and then they can be brought up in the next class that we have next week, inshallah. So in this, it also includes my email address. And also, please make sure if you want your answers shared, you submit it by Wednesday before the next webinar along with your name. You can also be creative and decorate it if you like. So you will not get it in the email. In the chat box, there'll be a link. You click on the link and it will open up this file that you see over here. Or if you are not able to open up the link, the files will also be downloaded, available to download on the Academy of Learning Islam website under this course. So there's two ways you're going to be able to access the different files. So if you take a look at the mountain climbing challenge, this is what it looks like for this week. So in each of the steps with the arrows that you see, that is going to be where you're going to write one way that Allah has been very generous to you. So you're only going to be doing the first challenge. The second challenge is going to be, we're going to go through it next week. So please make sure you only do this one challenge. And also you can get creative. You can decorate the mountain the way you like. But this is going to be a reflection activity that you can do throughout the week. And inshallah, the goal is for this activity to be able to help you, to be able to recognize the generosity of Allah and really start strengthening this connection. Because as we mentioned earlier, our goal is to be able to have a strong connection with Allah. So each week, we're going to be taking steps to be able to do this and get closer to Allah. Does anyone have any questions about the mountain climbing challenge? Or does everyone understand how it works? So it's optional if you want to submit your answers ahead of time by the Wednesday, or if you want to just keep this as your own personal reflection, that's fine too. And another thing which you can also do this week is, if you have a journal or a notebook, you can also use that to write any reflections that you have about your connection with Allah, points that you found interesting from this course that can help you along the spiritual journey. So you can do the mountain climbing challenge, as well as I would highly recommend maybe keeping a journal or a notebook for you to be able to write out your thoughts, connection with Allah throughout the sessions as well. And also, if you have any other interesting points that you noticed in the week about your connection with Allah, you are welcome to share that as well, and then we can discuss that in the next session as well. So my email is on the first slide, on the second slide in this package. Oh, that's very good. That's me like reflecting at the end of the day. Very good. That's a wonderful time to reflect. Exactly. It's the same way when you reflect on the way your day has gone. This is the same way where we can reflect on maybe at the end of every day how our connection has been with Allah. Something which we can do. Was it very strong? Was it very weak? Did we appreciate everything Allah has given us? Did we remember Allah whenever we had any challenges? This is a great habit for us to be able to form that can help us throughout our lives if we start some of these wonderful skills right now. Inshallah, look forward to hearing a lot of your answers next week. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to be sending in the chat box this file that you saw over here. Right now, you should have received the link where it says click here to download Nahjul Balagha Part 2 course files. If you click on this link, you'll be able to get this mountain climbing challenge. So by clicking on it, you should be able to access the file. You're welcome. Welcome. Does anyone have any questions about anything that we covered in this session? Very good. And also you're going to be able to access the slides as well, in case you want to be able to go through any of the material that we covered. So I'm also going to be sharing that link with you right now as well, if you'd like to take a look at the slides that we went through this session. So the most recent link that you see over here, click here to download Nahjul Balagha Part 2 presentation. That is the link for the PowerPoint presentation. So it's not going to be sent on the Gmail Ali Akbar. Instead, if you click on the link and then you save the file on your computer, that's going to be the best way. Otherwise, if you go to the Academy of Islam website, these files are also going to be there for you to be able to download as well. So hope everyone enjoyed the first session and learned a lot about increasing their connection with Allah, and look forward to seeing you all and your participation next week, inshallah, at the same time on Saturday. Very happy to hear you loved it. Excellent. Thank you. You're welcome, Sumaya. Saying very good. Thank you so much. I love hearing comments like this.